Arrival of the destroyer. The night sky over Earth burned red as fire fell from the stars. People in the small city below ran for shelter. Alarms screamed. A strange ship, dark and smooth like a blade, cut through the clouds. It did not belong to Earth. Inside that ship stood Princess Zavira, the heir of the Trelkan Empire. Tall, armored in black and silver, her eyes were cold. She watched the planet from a large screen. "Target planet acquired," said a robotic voice behind her. Zavira did not blink. "Begin phase 1. Let them know their end has come." She was born for war, trained since childhood. Her people had a long memory, and Earth was a name they never forgot. Many years ago, a human fleet attacked a Trelkan colony in space. Thousands died. Zavira's own brother had been lost in that battle. Since then, the Empire had waited, trained, built weapons that could crush planets, and now they sent their strongest warrior, Zavira, to finish what humans started. Her mission was clear: destroy Earth. The Trelkan ship landed outside the ruined city of New Zuran. This place was once full of life. Now, it was broken. Old human buildings stood like skeletons. Fires still burned from the last attack. Zavira stepped out of her ship, her boots touching the ground of Earth for the first time. The air was cold. Smoke floated in the wind. Her soldiers followed. Tall, fast-moving machines, part alien, part robot, spread across the land. They scanned for human life. "Commander," said one soldier. "Life signs detected. A small group, hiding in the north sector." Zavira nodded. "Send drones. Show no mercy." But as she turned, a red dot appeared on her armor. A sniper. From a rooftop far away, Commander Rylan of the Human Resistance held his breath. He looked through the scope of his old rifle. There she was, the alien leader. Tall, calm, deadly. "Take the shot," whispered a voice through his earpiece. But Rylan didn't move. Something felt strange. He zoomed in. She wasn't attacking. Not yet. She was just standing there, almost like she was waiting. Rylan's finger hovered over the trigger, but he didn't fire. Down below, Zavira glanced up for just a moment. She saw the glint of a scope. She knew someone was watching, but the shot never came. Interesting, she thought. Instead of attacking, she walked slowly through the ruins. Her scanners picked up signs of recent movement, footprints, heat trails, broken objects. Humans were still here, but she didn't kill them yet. She entered a half-destroyed house. Inside, it was quiet. Broken furniture, shattered glass, and then a sound, a soft cry. Zavira turned. Behind a fallen wall, a child was hiding, small, human, afraid, but not running, maybe 4 or 5 years old. Zavira raised her weapon, but the child didn't move. Instead, the child stepped forward. His hands were shaking, but he walked straight up to her. Zavira froze. He reached up and touched her armor, not with hate, not with fear, just curiosity. The room fell silent. Something strange moved inside Zavira. A memory. A flash of another small hand. Laughter. Her own child. Long gone. Her hand shook slightly. She lowered her weapon. Behind her, one of her soldiers entered. "Commander, orders?" Zavira looked down at the child, then back at the soldier. "Nothing," she said quietly. No threat. She turned and walked out, leaving the child unharmed. From a rooftop, Rylan saw the whole thing. He couldn't believe it. "She let the child live," he whispered. Back in her ship, Zavira stared at her reflection. Her eyes were the same, her armor still strong. But something had changed. She felt it. She hated humans. She had every reason to destroy them. But now, doubt had entered her heart, and doubt for a warrior was dangerous. As the ship rose again into the sky, and the resistance began to prepare for battle. No one knew that one moment had already changed. The war. A small act of mercy had started something far bigger. Resistance and rage, the night air was sharp and cold. Broken buildings stood like giants in the dark, silent witnesses to the war that never stopped. Inside the shadows, Commander Rylan moved fast. His boots made no sound as he crossed the empty street. He ducked behind a wall and tapped his earpiece. HQ, it's me, visual confirmed. The alien leader is here, but she didn't attack the child. What? The voice crackled. Say again? She had the shot, close range, but she walked away. A long pause. Understood. Fall back. We're planning a strike. She's still the enemy, Rylan. Don't forget that. Rylan lowered his head and sighed. He had seen war for years, but this was different. He looked up toward the sky. Somewhere above, the alien ship hovered like a dark moon, its lights blinking slowly. Watching. Waiting. In orbit, the Trelkin ship buzzed with activity. Metal halls echoed with marching footsteps. Screens showed maps of Earth, glowing red, with target zones. Explosions flickered on satellite feeds. Inside the war chamber, Princess Zavira stood still, hands behind her back. Her face was calm, but her mind was far away. She kept thinking of the child, that small hand on her armor. How could such a fragile thing have such power? Commander, said General Valner, her second in command. His voice was sharp, like a knife. Why did you delay the strike? Zavira's eyes narrowed. There was no resistance in that sector. It wasn't worth our resources. Valnor stepped forward. His eyes were full of suspicion. Your mission is not to choose. It is to obey. Humans destroyed your family. Don't forget that. Zavira turned to him slowly. Her voice was quiet but cold. I don't forget. I remember everything. Valnor stared at her, then nodded. Good. Then you'll lead the next. Attack yourself. The human resistance has gathered in Zone 12. They're planning something. Zavira nodded. Prepare the death drones. I'll crush them myself. But as Valnor left the chamber, a small smile crept onto his face. He didn't trust Zavira anymore, and he had plans of his own. Deep under the city ruins, in a bunker lit by old yellow lights, the human resistance gathered. About 20 soldiers stood around a glowing map on a table. Rylan stood at the front, pointing to red marks on the screen. They're moving fast. The aliens will strike again by sunrise. A soldier named Kira frowned. We don't have enough firepower to stop them. Then we don't stop them head on, Rylan said. We lead them into the trap, into the tunnels. A few soldiers exchanged worried looks. That's suicide, someone said. Those tunnels are old, unstable. So is everything else, Rylan replied. We have one advantage left. They don't know how humans think. He paused. And we fight best when we're cornered. The soldiers nodded slowly. Human courage wasn't about strength. It was about never giving up, even when all hope seemed lost. But Rylan didn't tell them everything. He didn't mention what he saw in the alien princess's eyes. It wasn't just mercy. It was conflict. She wasn't like the others. At dawn, the alien army moved again. 100 black drones flew low over the ruined city, scanning, hunting. Their wings buzzed like wasps. Metal tanks rolled over crushed cars and fallen statues. Behind them, Zavira walked alone. Her armor glowed in the morning light. Her mind was quiet, focused, but deep inside her, something twisted. She had been trained to see humans as monsters. And yet, that child, that simple moment, why couldn't she stop thinking about it? Suddenly, her scanner beeped. Movement ahead, said the voice in her helmet. Life signs, human base located. Zavira raised her hand. Lock target. Prepare to engage. The drones surrounded the area, ready to strike. But as they entered the zone, the ground shook. Boom. The road cracked beneath them. Boom. A second explosion. The drones began to spin and fall. Tanks stopped. The entire army had walked straight into a trap. Underground mines exploded, sending fire and metal into the air. From the tunnels below, human fighters rushed out. Weapons ready. It was chaos. Zavira's soldiers fell. Her machines burned. But she didn't move. She just watched, as if waiting for something more. And then she saw him, Commander Rylan, standing at the top of a broken building, rifle in hand. Their eyes met, and for a moment the war stopped. Neither raised a weapon. And then a voice broke through her earpiece. "Princess, the humans have the child." Zavira's heart skipped. "What? How?" "We tracked him. They took him to their bunker." Zavira's hand curled into a fist. She had let the child live. And now, he was part of the war. Was this her punishment? Or her chance? "Don't fire," she said suddenly. "What?" the soldier asked. "No strike, no attack. I'm going in alone." In the human bunker, the child sat quietly, drawing shapes in the dirt. Beside him, Rylan watched the monitors. Then he froze. A new signal appeared. One single alien, walking toward them. Unarmed, Princess Zavira, coming alone. Not as a warrior, but as something else. And no one, not human or alien, knew what would happen next. The child who changed her. The wind howled through the ruins as if the world itself was holding its breath. Every broken wall, every shattered window seemed to listen in silence. From the north side of the battlefield, Princess Zavira walked alone. No armor support, no drones, no backup. Just her, tall, proud, walking through the ashes of war like a shadow from another world. Human eyes watched her from the bunkers. Fingers hovered over triggers. Commands buzzed through the earpieces. "She's coming alone," said one soldier. "Is it a trick?" Commander Rylan stood at the edge of the human tunnel entrance. His jaw clenched. "No," he whispered. "Not a trick. A message." Inside the underground bunker, the child, and small and quiet, sat on the floor. He didn't cry, didn't speak, just stared at the flickering light above him. He held a small piece of metal in his hand, shiny, curved. It looked like part of Zavira's armor. He must have picked it up during their last meeting. His fingers traced the edge gently. "Who is she?" asked Kira, the soldier standing guard nearby. Rylan looked at the child. Someone who was never supposed to care. Outside, the air was tense. As Zavira reached the entrance, spotlights hit her face. Weapons pointed from every angle. Men and women in ragged armor stood ready to shoot. She raised her hand slowly. "I am not here to fight," she said. Her voice was calm, steady. But inside, she was not calm. Inside, everything was storm. Rylan stepped forward. "Why are you here?" "The child," she said. "I came for him." The soldiers tensed. Fingers moved closer to triggers. "He's safe," Rylan said. "You're not taking him." Zavira shook her head. "I'm not here to take. I'm here to see." "Why?" Rylan asked. "He's just a child." Zavira's eyes met his. They didn't glow. They didn't shine. They just looked tired. "Because he looked at me like I wasn't a monster." A long silence. Then Rylan gave a nod. "Bring him," he said. Inside the bunker, the child was led out slowly. His small hand held onto Kira's glove. His eyes widened when he saw Zavira, but there was no fear. He walked toward her. 1 step, 2 steps. And then, without a word, he reached into his pocket and pulled out the broken piece of her armor. He lifted it up to her. Zavira dropped to one knee. For the first time in her life, she lowered herself before a human. Her fingers reached out, trembling slightly, and took the metal from the boy's hand. It was scratched, burned, but it was a part of her. And now, a part of him. "Why didn't you run?" she asked softly. The boy didn't answer. Instead, he stepped forward and hugged her. Zavira froze. Her mind screamed at her to push him away, to remember who she was, what she was. But her arms moved on their own. She held him, and something broke inside her. Not pain, not anger. Something older, something she thought she lost when her own child died years ago in the human war. Watching from the side, Ryland's hands dropped from his weapon. He had seen many things in this war, but never this. Zavira stood slowly, holding the boy's hand. "His name?" she asked. "No one knows," Kira replied. "He doesn't speak." Zavira looked at the child. "Then I will give him a name." She paused. "Solace. It means light, in the old tongue of my people." The child looked up and smiled. It was the first time he smiled, and the bunker grew quiet. For a moment there was peace, but peace never lasts in war. Suddenly, a loud blast shook the tunnel. Dust fell from the ceiling. Lights flickered. Alarms screamed. "They found us," someone shouted. A scout ran in. "Trelkan forces, they're attacking. It's Valnor. He brought the full fleet." Zavira's face darkened. Valnor. She knew it. He had been watching her, waiting for her to break the rules, and now he would destroy them all, human and alien alike. Just to erase her weakness, Ryland grabbed his rifle. "We have to evacuate." But Zavira raised her hand. "No, they'll destroy everything above ground. There's no time." "Then what?" Ryland asked. She looked at him. "You trust me?" He didn't answer right away. Then he nodded. "I don't know why, but yes." Zavira looked at Solace, then back at Ryland. "Then follow me. I know how to stop them." As the humans packed quickly, preparing for another desperate escape, Zavira stood still in the center of the bunker. The child held her hand, and in that moment, she wasn't a destroyer. She wasn't a warrior. She was just someone trying to protect, something innocent in a world that had forgotten what innocence was. Outside, the sky turned black with Trelkan ships. Inside, a single alien chose mercy over vengeance, and deep below the battlefield, a new alliance was born, between fear and hope, between past and future, between enemies, who were no longer enemies. Divided, loyalties, the Trelkan fleet blotted out the sky. Giant ships, black as void, floated above the ruined earth like predators ready to strike. Engines roared, casting red shadows across the broken city. Flashes of light blinked from orbit, war machines waiting for a signal. And at the heart of it all stood General Valnor, his eyes cold, lips curved in a cruel smile. "Princess Zavira has gone soft," he said, pacing in the command deck of his flagship. "She let the humans live. She touched the child. She felt something. He spat the word like poison. She is no longer one of us." His officers stood silent. None dared speak. Valnor's wrath was well known. Disloyalty meant death. "Prepare the purge," he said. "We erase the humans, and we erase her." Deep underground, in the twisting tunnels of the old human metro system, Zavira led the resistance through darkness. Their flashlights flickered over rusted rails and cracked walls. Echoes of footsteps followed behind. The child, Solace, walked close to her, one tiny hand holding hers tightly. Commander Ryland kept near the rear, watching their backs. He didn't fully trust her yet, but she had not betrayed them. Not yet. "Where are we going?" Kira asked, her voice low. "To an old relay station," Zavira replied. "One of ours, hidden beneath the surface. If I reach it, I might override Valnor's command codes. I can shut down the orbiting fleet." "You mean turn off their weapons?" Ryland asked. "Yes," she nodded. "But only for a short time. Enough for you. To escape. Maybe more, if I'm lucky." Ryland narrowed his eyes. "Why help us at all? What changed?" Zavira looked down at Solace. "He changed everything." The child looked up at her, calm as if he understood every word. They reached a collapsed section of tunnel. Rocks blocked the path. The roof had caved in years ago. Zavira stepped forward. "Stand back." She raised a small device from her belt. It pulsed with blue light. A soft hum filled the air. Boom. A controlled charge sent dust and debris flying. When the smoke cleared, a narrow path opened ahead, but before they could move, A voice echoed through the chamber. Traitor. Zavira froze. From the shadows stepped two Trelkan soldiers. Tall, armored, eyes glowing with rage. You abandoned your duty. One hissed. You chose humans over your blood. Zavira moved in front of the child. I chose life, she said. The soldiers aimed their weapons. Rylan raised his rifle, but Zavira held out her hand. They're mine, she whispered. In a flash she moved, her blade drawn in one smooth motion. Metal clashed. Sparks flew. The tunnel echoed with the sound of battle. It was fast, brutal. Zavira's blade struck first, cutting deep into one soldier's chest. He fell. The second swung his weapon, but she dodged, spun, and drove her blade through his armor. Both fell silent. The tunnel returned to stillness. Zavira stood breathing heavily, blood on her hands. Not human blood, but her own kind. You killed your own? Kira whispered. Zavira didn't answer. Rylan stepped forward. Are you with us? Or are you just lost between both sides? Zavira looked at him, eyes distant. Maybe both. Maybe neither. Hours later they reached the relay station, a hidden alien hub buried beneath the city. The door was sealed. Zavira placed her hand on the scanner. The system lit up. Green light blinked. Welcome, Princess Zavira, said a soft digital voice. They entered a small control room filled with alien tech. Screens glowed with strange symbols. Energy pulsed through the walls. Zavira moved to the center console and began typing commands in her language. Her fingers flew over the controls. Code ran across the screens. You're really doing it? Rylan asked. Yes, she said. But there's a risk. What kind? Zavira looked up. If I shut down Valnor's fleet, I will reveal my location. He will come, and he won't come alone. Outside the station, Solace played with an old metal plate. He drew symbols in the dust, curved lines and circles. Zavira saw the marks and paused. They were not human symbols, not Trelkan either. Something older. Where did you learn that? She asked him. The boy looked at her and whispered one word. Before. Zavira stepped back. It was the first time he spoke, and that one word sent a chill down her spine. In orbit, Valnor's screen blinked. Location found, said the officer. Unauthorized signal from relay station Gamma 12. Valnor grinned. So, she thinks she can stop me. He turned to his generals. Ready the purifier. Wipe the entire sector. Underground, the lights in the station turned red. Zavira's screen flashed with warnings. They're coming, she whispered. And they're not just sending troops, they're sending the purifier. What's the purifier? Kira asked. Zavira turned slowly. A weapon. Not meant for war. Meant for extinction. A long silence filled the room. Rylan looked at the child. We have to get him out. Zavira stepped back from the console. No. We have to stop the purifier, not just for the child, for all of you. We don't have that kind of firepower, Rylan said. Zavira nodded slowly. But I do. She turned to the console again, typing faster now. Her voice was quiet. You trusted me once, human. Now, I ask again, stand with me even if it means standing against everything. Rylan looked at the child, then at his people, and he nodded. We stand with you. Above them, the sky rumbled. Below, in the heart of the station, a warrior who was once a destroyer prepared to fight her own kind, for those she once swore to kill. Her loyalties were broken. Her purpose rewritten, and the final war was no longer between humans and aliens, and it was between hope and fear. Betrayal in the ranks, the underground relay station was silent, but the air vibrated with danger. Princess Zavira stood before the glowing control panel, her fingers pausing over alien code. The shutdown sequence for the Trelkan fleet hovered on the screen, a blinking command waiting for her final decision. Behind her, Rylan paced. Kira kept watch near the exit, rifle ready. And in the corner, little Solace sat cross-legged, drawing more of those strange ancient symbols in the dust. Symbols no one could understand, not even Zavira. Not yet. Suddenly, the station lights flickered. "Something's wrong," Zavira said. Her fingers flew across the console, reading the code changes. "Someone's trying to override me from orbit." "Valnor?" Rylan asked. Zavira shook her head. "No. This isn't his pattern. It's familiar." She narrowed her eyes. Someone else is in the system. Then a new voice echoed through the room. Cold, sharp, female. "You were always weak, Zavira." Zavira's face went pale. "No, it can't be." A screen lit up. A hologram appeared. A tall Trelkin figure with golden armor and eyes like fire. "Hello, sister," the figure said. "Vela," Zavira whispered. Vela, Zavira's older sister. Once her best friend, now her rival. Vela had vanished years ago, after a failed coup against their mother, the queen. Most believed she was dead. But now here she was alive, and part of Valnor's army. "You betrayed your people," Vela said. "For what? A human child? For insects?" "You left long before I did," Zavira replied. Vela smiled. "Yes, and now I return to finish what I started." On the screen, Trelkin symbols flashed. Vela was overriding the system, Zavira's control over the fleet. Gone. The shutdown command was erased. "You've lost, sister," Vela said. "Valnor will wipe them all, and you'll watch it happen." The screen went dark. Zavira slammed her fist against the console. "We have to move now." "Move where?" Rylan asked. "There's one last path. An escape tunnel buried deeper underground. It leads to an old launch bay." "Launch bay?" Kira asked. "For what?" Zavira looked back at them. "A weapon. Something old. Something from before even the Trelkins ruled the stars." "What kind of weapon?" Rylan asked. "Not a weapon of destruction," Zavira said. "A weapon of memory." They moved quickly, deeper into the tunnel system. The walls changed, from metal and rock to something older, smoother, glowing with faint blue light. "This wasn't built by humans or Trelkins," Kira whispered. "No," Zavira said. "This is ancient." Solace ran ahead of them, moving faster, now. His hands touched the glowing walls. Symbols lit up where his fingers passed. The others stared in shock. "He knows this place," Zavira said quietly. "How?" Rylan asked. But before she could answer, a sudden boom echoed through the tunnels. An explosion. Dust fell from the ceiling. "They're here!" someone shouted. From the rear, laser fire lit the dark. Valnor's hunters had arrived. Trelkin shocky. Troops poured into the tunnels. Fast, armored, brutal. Zavira spun, firing her pulse weapon. Rylan and Kira returned fire. The humans were outnumbered, outgunned. "Go!" Zavira shouted to Kira. "Get the child to the launch bay." "What about you?" "I'll hold them." The tunnel became a war zone. Zavira moved like a storm, fast, deadly. Silent. She cut through her own kind without hesitation. Because now, they weren't her kind anymore. In the deeper tunnel, Kira pulled Solace by the hand. But he suddenly stopped. His eyes fixed on a giant door at the end of the path. Smooth silver, covered in glowing lines, it opened on its own as he approached. Inside was a massive chamber. Tall walls, ancient machines. A floating orb at the center, pulsing with golden energy. Kira stared. "What is this?" Zavira arrived moments later, blood on her armor, face hard. "This is what I came for." She stepped into the chamber. "This is the memory core, left by the ones who came before us all. What does it do?" Rylan asked. Zavira looked at Solace. "It holds truth. The history of everything. The secrets our empires tried to bury." She turned to Rylan. "This child, he's not just human. He's something more. Part of an older design, a living key." "A key to what?" "To peace. Or to destruction." As she spoke, the orb floated toward Solace. It stopped in front of him, and then gently, it touched his forehead. Suddenly the chamber lit up. Images flickered in the air, stars, planets, wars, long forgotten, fleets rising and falling, civilizations born and destroyed, and one symbol appeared over and over. The same one Solace had drawn in the dirt. "What is that?" Kira asked. Zavira's voice trembled. "That's the symbol of the first pact, the original alliance between humans and Trelkins, and before the war, before betrayal. We were allies," Raylan whispered. "Once, and this child is the last link to that truth." Behind them, explosions shook the tunnel. Valnor was close. Zavira turned to the core. "We have one chance." "What are you doing?" Raylan asked. "Awakening the truth." She placed Solace's hand against the orb. A beam of golden light burst out, blasting through the ceiling and into the sky. In orbit, Trelkin ships paused, systems blinked, and Valnor's fleet lost connection. Every Trelkin soldier froze. The truth, the forbidden history, had just been uploaded to every screen, every mind. A history of betrayal and unity, and the child, at the center of it all. "What have you done?" Valnor screamed on his ship as his army paused mid-battle. But, down below, Zavira stood calmly beside the boy. "I gave them a choice," she said. In that moment, the war did not end, but everything changed. The lies were broken, and in the heart of ancient ruins, a warrior, a child, and a handful of survivors turned the tide of a 1,000-year war, not with fire. The enemy who saved me, the beam of golden light shot into the sky like a signal to the stars. It pierced the clouds, reached orbit, and blinded the Trelkin fleet. On board the flagship, alarms screamed. Systems failed. Weapons went offline. Screens, filled with strange symbols and ancient truths, histories the Empire had erased, now exposed for every soldier to see. On the command deck, General Valnor roared in fury. "This is Zavira's doing," he shouted. "Shut it down," but he couldn't. No one could. Not anymore. Below, in the heart of the ancient chamber, silence returned. The memory core dimmed. The images faded. Solace stood still, eyes wide, breathing slowly. He looked older somehow, not in body, but in presence, as if something inside him had awakened. Zavira dropped to one knee, her hand on her chest. Not from pain, but from something deeper. "I felt it," she whispered. "A wave, a connection." "Me too," Kira said, her voice shaking. "I saw things I can't explain." Raylan nodded. "I saw my ancestors, standing beside yours, not as enemies, as brothers." Zavira turned to Solace. "You showed them the truth. You showed us the truth." But Solace said nothing. He just looked up, blinking slowly. And for the first time, tears fell from his eyes. Outside, the sky changed. The Trelkin fleet, once ready to burn Earth to ash, now hovered in silence. Some ships powered down completely. Others drifted, confused. Inside those ships, soldiers argued. "Why are we fighting?" some asked. "Were we lied to? What if she's right?" Back on the surface, Zavira led the humans through a hidden tunnel that opened to the old ruins above. Broken towers, shattered roads, and scattered wreckage surrounded them. But now there was something else. Quiet. No explosions. No drones. Just the wind. "They're pulling back," Kira said, scanning the sky. "No," Zavira corrected. "They're thinking." For the first time in centuries, they reached an old structure, once a human temple, now a ruined shelter. They needed rest. The child needed rest. Inside the cracked building, Raylan lit a small fire. The group sat in a circle. Zavira remained standing, staring into the distance, her blade resting across her lap. Raylan finally spoke. "When we met, I saw you as death." Zavira didn't look at him. "You weren't wrong. But now," he continued, "you risked everything. Your army, your family, your world. I didn't do it for humans, Zavira said coldly. Rylan nodded. Then why? A long silence. Then she whispered, because for the first time, someone believed I could be more than a weapon. She looked at Solace, who slept quietly beside the fire. That child, she said, saved me, before I even knew I was broken. Suddenly the ground shook. A distant rumble echoed across the ruins. From outside, Kira shouted, "Incoming!" They rushed to the doorway. A small, fast ship was landing, smooth black, unlike the warships. Zavira stepped forward, her eyes narrowed. It's not Valnor. Then who is it? Rylan asked. The ship's ramp opened. A figure stepped out. Vela Zavira's sister. Alive, armored, and smiling. But she was alone. No guards. No army. Just her. You showed them everything, Vela said, approaching. You broke the code. Zavira stood tall. They deserved the truth. Vela looked at Solace, still sleeping. The boy is more than a messenger, you know that now. Zavira didn't answer. Vela continued. He's a beacon, created long ago by the founders. Part human, part Trelkan, and something more. He's a bridge, Zavira said. Between two enemies. Vela tilted her head. And what happens when bridges break? Without warning, Vela drew her blade. Zavira blocked it just in time. Metal clashed in the dim light. Sparks flew. The sisters moved like dancers, fast, deadly, each strike filled with old pain. Rylan rushed forward, but Zavira shouted, "No, she's mine." The duel was brutal. Years of anger poured into every blow. Vela's voice dripped with venom. You were always the weaker one, soft, emotional, Zavira snarled, and you were always empty. Their blades locked. Vela leaned close. The child cannot survive. He is a threat to everything. Zavira's eyes blazed. He's hope. With one final twist, Zavira broke Vela's guard and disarmed her. Vela fell to one knee, blood on her lips. Do it, she hissed. Kill me. Zavira raised her blade and paused. No, she said. You're not worth his pain. She turned away. Vela fell back, unconscious. The next morning, as the sun rose over the quiet battlefield, the world felt different. Zavira stood beside Rylan, watching the horizon. Above, Trelkan ships still floated, but none attacked. Solace stood between them, his small hand held in both of theirs. They'll come again, Rylan said. Yes, Zavira replied. But next time, it won't be just humans standing here. You're not afraid? She looked down at Solace. Not anymore. In the shadows of space, a council of alien leaders debated. Some feared the truth. Some embraced it. But all of them knew one thing. The child had changed everything. And the warrior who once came to destroy humanity was now their shield. The final choice, the sun was rising slowly, painting the sky in red and gold. Broken buildings cast long shadows across the earth. The silence was unnatural, the kind that comes not with peace, but with waiting. Up above, the Trelkan fleet still hovered, paralyzed by the wave of truth Solace had awakened. But now, they were beginning to move again. Orders had returned. Valnor had not stopped. He had only paused. In the human base, deep within a rebuilt section of the old resistance stronghold, Zavira stood before a screen watching enemy formations gather in orbit. Her eyes were calm, but her jaw was tense. Behind her, Rylan entered. You're not saying anything, he said. Because I already know what must be done, she replied. And what is that? Zavira turned to him. Surrender. Rylan blinked. Surrender? After everything? Not to them, she said. To him. She looked down the hallway toward the room where Solace slept. The child holds more than memory, she whispered. He carries the key to the Founder's gate. What gate? The gate that leads to the origin of all species, to the source of the ancient code. Why haven't you said this before? Because once that gate opens, there is no turning back. Hours later, a meeting was called. The last of the human leaders, and a few Trelkin defectors who had turned against Valnor after seeing the truth. The room was tense. Everyone looked at Zavira. "The fleet is arming a planet killer," she said, pointing to the data on the screen. "It's called the Oblivion Lance. One strike and the surface of Earth becomes dust." Gasps filled the room. They would destroy Earth? A human medic asked. "Just to erase one child?" Zavira nodded. "Yes. Because Solace is not just a bridge. He is the seal, the final code fragment, and they fear what he might unlock." "Then we fight," shouted a soldier. "We won't win this fight with guns," Zavira said. "We win it with truth and trust." "So what do you propose?" Rylan asked. Zavira looked at him. "I go to Valnor." The council exploded with voices. "You'll be killed. It's a trap. She's still one of them." But Rylan stood. "No," he said. "She's one of us now." The room fell silent, and Zavira gave a single nod. Hours later, under the pale light of a burning sky, a small ship lifted off from the human base. Inside it stood Princess Zavira, alone, unarmed, no tricks, no backup. She sent one signal, one message. "Valnor, I request parley." Face to face. On the flagship, General Valnor stood at the center of the war room, surrounded by soldiers still loyal to the old command. His face twisted with contempt as the signal played. "She dares return," he growled. "What shall we do, General?" Valnor turned slowly. "Bring her aboard. Let the traitor kneel before her end." Moments later, Zavira stepped onto the bridge of the Trelkin flagship. Every eye turned to her. The silence was sharp. Valnor waited at the end of the hall. She walked with her head high. "I expected fear," he said. "But you bring arrogance instead." "I bring a choice," she replied. He laughed. "You are no longer princess, no longer soldier, no longer anything." Zavira stepped forward. "Then why am I still alive?" Valnor's smile faded. "Because you're afraid of the child," she said. "You're afraid of the truth." Valnor moved fast, his blade drawn. He slashed at her, but she didn't flinch. Instead, she whispered something, a single word, and the lights flickered. A glowing symbol appeared on her palm, the mark of the Founders. Valnor stepped back. "What have you done?" "I've given the child access to the gate," she said, "and he's opening it now." Back on Earth, in a hidden chamber deep beneath the ruins, Solace stood before a massive stone gate, pulsing with ancient energy. The symbols glowed brighter. One by one, they turned gold. And then, the gate began to open. A rumble shook the earth. Beams of light poured into the sky. On the Trelkin flagship, screens shattered. Ships went dark. And one by one, soldiers dropped their weapons, falling to their knees. Not in defeat, but in awe. Memories, thoughts, visions from the past flooded into their minds. They saw the truth. They saw the lies. They saw the war for what it really was, a cycle kept alive by fear. Valnor screamed, "You fool! You've doomed us all!" Zavira walked past him, calm. "No," she said. "I've set us free." As the gate opened fully, a storm of light swept across the sky. It did not destroy. It healed. Ships stopped fighting. Communications opened. And for the first time in generations, human and Trelkin voices spoke together. Zavira's final message was broadcast across the stars. "Today we do not surrender. We do not fight. We choose. And I choose a future where my child, and yours, can live without hate." Valnor vanished, consumed by his own rage. No one saw him fall and no body was found. Some say he escaped. Others say the gate judged him. Only one part remained true. The war ended that day, not by force, but by choice. The final choice.